What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm finally able to bring you an update to Regenesys Archfiend, or Archfiend Regenesys, whichever way you want to kind of title it. Now, what makes this deck really good going forward is that there's a lot of flexibility. You could technically play more direct Archfiend if anything else, and what you do is you cut back on the Regenesys cards themselves. You start opening up the doors to more hand interactions, you can open up the doors to more breakers, and ultimately what I'm going to show you in this list is the last 5 cards I'm going to show you can be very interchangeable, and I'll talk you through the type of cards to add in there, what type of interactions you might want to consider, and then kind of work it from there, as the deck got 2 brand new cards. One of them is more amazing than the other, but both are just generally really good for the deck itself, and I just couldn't really decide if I wanted to play it the way that I would want to and enjoy it the most, which is with the Regenesys, or if I would want to make it more Archfiend focused, which is just as cool. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you won't miss out on any more upcoming content. Now, in this particular version, I am on free Archfiend Emperor. You don't need to be playing free Archfiend Emperor anymore, but because of the Regenesys style and the version of this deck, you kind of need to play multiples because you'd much rather see an Archfiend Emperor as it is that 2500 reveal. Now, this kind of then combos off with another card that is optional, which is the Dogmatika Fleur de Lis, the Thunderbolt. So if you were to play the Fleur de Lis, the Thunderbolt, you could reduce the Emperor, and again that opens up the door to a bit more variety. I'm in this particular version I'm about to show you playing both, just because the Fleur de Lis gives you a turn 0 route, and the Archfiend Emperor gives you a go second aggressor. Then we've got one of the brand new Archfiend Matricia. So you get to target an Archfiend spell or trap in your graveyard or banishment, destroy this card, and if you do, add that target back to the hand. So it's a great follow-up for the following turn. You can ritual summon this card with Throne of the Archfiends, and it must be ritual summoned. It's unaffected by other monster effects while it's in the extra monster zone. If it is ritual summoned, you get to destroy as many spells and traps your opponent controls as possible, and then if the card is in the extra monster zone, it can banish all spells and traps your opponent's graveyard. So this is your spell and trap out, whereas your Emperor is the aggressor. So the Emperor, you target one other face-up spell or trap on the field, destroy both it and this card. Only use each effect once per turn. Ritual summon it with Throne of the Archfiend, it must be ritual summoned. It's unaffected by other monster effects while it is in the extra monster zone. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If it's ritual summoned from the extra deck, you get to banish all monsters on the field except in the extra monster zone. And then if this card is in the extra monster zone, you get to special summon one themed monster from the hand, deck, grave, or banishment, which is really, really important as well. So it helps you extend, it helps you get into your Archfiend monsters, but this is your monster clearer, this is your spell and trap clearer, which is why you're playing more of this and less of this. But like I said, if you want to lean in different directions, you can afford to cut the Archfiend Emperor down a bit. Then we've got the one Matador Archfiend, like 1 is more than enough on this card. So you can ritual summon it with Ritual of the Matador. If it is ritual summoned, you get to add 2 Archfiend cards from the deck to the hand except itself. You cannot attack for the rest of the turn, which is fine. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. It can't be destroyed by battle, and you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. And after damage calculation, if it card battles a monster, destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. So it's just like a very defensive wall that searches you out 2 Archfiend cards. Now the best thing about this is because they say Archfiend, you can search out any card that is treated as an Archfiend card. So summons go. And then we are playing free Royal Archfiend. This is probably the most important one. The only downside of Royal Archfiend is that it's 24, not 25. If this was 25, woof, your Emperor Archfiend would be going down to 1 so fast. So you tribute this card from the hand or face up field to add an Archfiend card from the deck to the hand except itself. You can't special from the extra deck for the rest of the turn. Remember, very important, rest of the turn, because if you were to play something like Super Polymerization, you would do Super Polymerization first and then use the Royal Archfiend's effect. And then on top of that as well, you get to normal summon a themed monster during your main phase this turn in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only use each effect once per turn. When your ritual monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in the grave, you get to special summon this card back. Then we're on 2 Duke Archfiends. So if you're leaning in more Archfiends, so if you're cutting down the Regenesys cards, and I'll show you the cards that you would cut down, you would actually play 3 Duke Archfiends, and you would play 2 Archfiend Heiress, and you could afford to play 2 Highness Archfiend. Entirely up to you. But again, because I want to still have the aggression of the other Regenesys cards in the form of Warrior, Dragon, and then Lord, it gives you a bit more to play for. So what you've got on your Duke Archfiend is it gains attack equal to its level times 200. Only use each of the following effects once per turn. Target a face-up monster you control that has a level. You send an Archfiend monster from the deck to the grave, one of these 2, and then increase its level. increase that monster's level by the level of the monster that was sent. And then when you ritual summon a monster is destroyed by battle while this card's in the grave, you special summon it. But the idea is you increase your Duke Archfiend from a level 4 to a level 7, and that's your ritual level fodder. Heiress is if it is sent to the graveyard by card effect or is it being destroyed by battle, you add an Archfiend card from the deck to your hand. And then the Highness Archfiend is if it is normaled, you get to banish one Archfiend card from your graveyard, add 2 Archfiend cards from the deck to the hand except itself. You can't special for the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Archfiends. And then when you ritual summon a monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in the grave, you special summon it. Only use each effect once per turn. But the idea is that if this is your first normal summon, this needs to be your additional normal summon off of the back of, wherever it may be, your Royal Archfiend. So there's a lot of things to remember, and that's why the Regenesys work so well, because the Regenesys themselves don't need to normal summon. And then the brand new card, like this card's insane for the deck. 3 Archfiend's Usurpation. Quick play spell card. Activate one of these effects. Set an Archfiend trap directly from the deck or grave, and it can be activated this turn. Or ritual summon an Archfiend ritual monster from the hand or face up extra deck by tributing monsters from the hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed. The reason that is so good is because what we used to have is turn 1, we'd like set up the Archfiend, summon it to the field, but not get that whole nuke effect. Whereas now, you've got the ability to do that during your opponent's turn, and then keeping in mind, if it's ritual summoned from the extra deck, you banish all monsters on the field. So it gives you that ability to do that during your opponent's turn. But then also, being able to set a trap card and activate that turn allows you to play with Archfiend playtime. So yes, of course, you can play other Archfiend cards, like there's Archfiend, I think it's like Ghastly Glitch, which I quite like as well. So this one lets you special summon a level 7 or lower Archfiend from the hand, deck, or deck. Or if you have an Archfiend ritual monster in your face of extra deck, you get to special summon up to 1 each of a Royal Archfiend, Duke Archfiend, and a Highness from your hand and or deck instead. Now it's a shame that it doesn't let you bring back from the grave, which is why you would lean into playing more copies. Because if you open up the Archfiend Heiress or you open up the Highness Archfiend, this card's dead. So there's a lot that you need to kind of consider. Well, it's not dead if you open them up, but if you get them to the graveyard, they are kind of dead. The idea is that you get to special summon at level 7 or lower. It starts setting up your levels that you need to, because keep in mind your main Archfiend monsters want to trigger on normal summon. You can also play the other Archfiend trap card, which is, I think it's Playtime. I think I've got it to one side here. I don't. But there are other Archfiend trap cards you can play in place of this. But the fact of the matter is the Usurpation lets you play one of your trap cards turn 0, or like your first turn. But it also lets you ritual summon. So it's like the best of both that you could possibly ask for. Then got the 1 Archfiend strategy. So Fiend monsters in the extra monster zone gain 1000 attack, and you get to activate one of these effects. Banish a Fiend monster or an Archfiend card from the hand or grave to add an Archfiend card from the deck to the hand. Accept itself, or accept a field spell. Or you can add an Archfiend Pendulum monster from the deck to the face-up extra deck. So again, just more ways of getting access to either your Archfiend Emperor or the other Archfiend in the form of the Matricia. So then the penultimate kind of Archfiend cards are your ritual ones. So you've got your Throne of the Archfiend and you've got your Ritual of the Matador. So basically both of these are used to ritual summon your monsters. For the Regenesys, I've got 3 Regenesys Archfiend. Now this is a card you could cut down a little bit less of because of the pure fact that it's a Archfiend monster. It's so easily searchable. But it's also one of the ones that if you hard open up with the right combination, you can get yourself an Omni Negate before your opponent can really do anything in the form of Sage. Warrior and Dragon are completely optional, as is Lord. Lord is part of the 5 cards at the end of the video I was going to show you, but the idea is that you could sub this out, and to make this deck as balanced and as kind of effective for the current format right now, I would sacrifice the Lord, and I'd be looking at playing stuff like Super Polarization, Fallen the Virtuous. The other card that you would take out if you do decide to go down that route would be your Pot of Extravagance, because you want to control your extra deck a little bit more. But this particular version is designed to be a lot more aggressive. I don't really care about my extra deck. The idea is I want to play my Pot of Extravagance, draw my pieces, and then go, here's my Regenesys Archfiend, here's my Regenesys Sage, I'm now protected, and then utilize the effects of my Emperor, or just straight away get your ritual summon from your extra deck of your Archfiend Emperor, nuke the entire field, and then start going with your Regenesys summons. So. Speaking of the rest, consistency cards for your Regenesys, alongside the Regenesys Birth and the 1 copy of Code. Now again, Code would be a card you would cut out completely, in my opinion, if you were to play Super Polarization, because it's not worth locking yourself down. Like if I saw this in Super Polarization, that's quite a big thing to be locked out for. I'd much rather see multiple Super Polarizations than I would to see a Regenesys Code, and I'd be quite happy to just not play this card. Free Preparation of Right, so get your access to your Throne and then your Archfiend Emperor. which again, because we got consistency to get to our Archfiend Emperor, you could afford to play this at less. You can also consider Manju as one of your first normal summons. So there are ways to work around it, but it really comes down to player preference and choices. If you want to make this more aggressive with more hand traps, you would take some of these cards out. If you want to make it more aggressive with breakers in the form of Super Poly and Fallen and Virtuous, again, adapt it as you see fit. The One Foolish Burial, and then again, just an alternative engine to support the deck, is 3 Dogmatica Fleur Delis, the Thunderbolt, and 1 Dogmatica Punishment. So with the extra deck, you're either going to build it with all Dogmatica Punishment targets, which I'm only playing 1 anyway, and then the Fleur Delis is just an extra body on the field. It's an extra monster with 25/25. It just helps synergize with your Regenesys. Or you're going to build your extra deck to not care about the Pot of Extravagance and just play like one-offs of a lot of stuff. So that's when you can open up the door for punishments to be, like, I feel that playing the punishment route is absolutely fine. But again, you've got to be careful of locking yourself out of the extra deck. The only way that's, or the reason that Super Polymerization works so well is not only is it a great card for this current format, but it's a card that lets you break your opponent's field without response, and it can really, really disrupt them and hurt them. So you have to adapt the deck to the environment you're taking it to, which is why I'm not going to show you an extra deck, because that is really going to come down to the type of build you make. What I will show you, though, are the cards that are completely optional that you can sub in, sub out, and open up some spaces. So, arguably, you can play Free Preparation of Rites if you want to, or because of the Usurpation, you can afford to cut these all completely. The idea is that this will get you access to the Ritual Monster and the Ritual Spell. Whether you use it as fodder, whether you use it as reveal fodder for your Regenesis, it gives you a lot more to play around with. If you want to control your extra deck a lot more, you can open up the Pot of Extravagance slots. You can also double up your Archfiend Heiress and your Highness Archfiend. You can afford to cut Warrior and Dragon. I personally still like them. I think they are massively aggressive. And Lord, I think, is the most cuttable. But what I'm trying to show you here is if you wanted to go down a route of more pure Archfiend, then straight away... sorry, that's Sage. That's not a Dragon. If you wanted to go down a route of more pure Archfiend and less on the Regenesis Dragons, Warriors and stuff, this becomes your Duke Archfiend, your Highness, and your Heiress. There you go. So these become your Heiresses. Then I would go with 3 Super Polymerizations, just to help me have some additional breakers. Then I'd play 2 Fallen and the Virtuouses. I would then consider either keeping the Dogmatica engine, or then open up the door to play Ash Blossoms and Fuas, or Fuas and Ash Blossoms, or Bells, or whatever. But the idea is you can then open up this amount of space depending on the route you want to take your deck. So I think that's kind of a good way to show you the alternative options. But what I love about Regenesis, like I've loved Regenesis the day we got it. I thought it was like, this was a really fun deck. And then the fact that it combos off well with the Archfiends is something that I've loved even more, because I love Archfiends, I love how cool they look, I love the Fiend art type around it, and I love the fact that they're involved with Summon Skull as well. I just really feel that they needed a bit more to kick on. And we kind of got that in the form of the Usurpation. Like, this card's crazy. How the heck this is only a common? I'll take it all day long. But this card is an amazing addition for the deck, and it really gives it a bit of an extra punch. And it's kind of one of these decks I think is a great deck to learn from as well. Because you can play it very simplified, where you don't need to worry about your extra deck. Case in point, this particular version of the deck, just play a card that lets you draw in the Pot of Extravagance. It's high-level attack stat monsters that can summon themselves very easily. It's got End-Phase Recursion with the Regenesis as well. It's got synergy to search from one route to the other. It has a bit more versatility to play through interactions as well. And then all you need to decide as the pilot of the deck is whether you want it to be aggressive, defensive, or just hand trap deck with big monsters that are going to join the battle. So, yeah, that is pretty much it for the entire profile. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, put them in the comments down below. If you want a demo side deck, a demo extra deck, I'll be more than happy to lay it out for you. But the idea is that there's just so much variety, depending on which route you wanted to go down, that I felt it would be a bit convoluted and a bit confusing if I was to go, right, this is a extra deck if you played Super Poly, this is an extra deck if you played Fallen and Virtuous, this is an extra deck if you didn't, this is an extra deck with Punishment, like... If you want those, I will quite happily give you this is your 15 card extra deck and write them in the description for you all. But this one really does give you more creative freedom to do everything you need to. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.